Hey, it's Alze Calhoun with Coveted Consulting. Let's talk about how to market a consulting company. More specifically, let's talk about what choice you should make to market your consulting company. Really, you have three main options. You can either build your network, create content, or run profitable advertisement. There aren't 30 options. It's really just three. Now, there are many hybrid approaches, and you can mix and match and create tons of confusion. But your core leverage here is going to be in one of these three places. So it's important for you to make a choice on where you're going to spend your core time, energy, and money, because it's going to be in one of these three. So let's talk about how you can decide which one of these three makes the most sense. So if you're going to make a good decision here, you've got to be able to understand these options and make an appropriate compare and contrast. So let's take the journey here, shall we? So when we say build a network, what are we talking about? We're talking about classic referrals, classic networking here. If you go to entrepreneur.com, how to start a consulting business, and they make their recommendations, right? They're going to say get certified, get basic qualifications. Are you organized? Do you like to network? Right? It's one of the fundamental things that we know we should do that is a starting place to build your consulting business. Nothing wrong with that, right? But that's what we mean by building a network. Create a referral base, a partnership base, a prospect base of people. Great. So then when we say create relevant content, what are we talking about? So to put that in context, we think about HubSpot.com. If you haven't heard about HubSpot, you can look them up, but they're a huge company that has built their entire momentum on content marketing, creating content. There's one article in particular here that says why HubSpot won't exhibit at trade shows and events anymore. Because this is the kind of thing we think we have to do, right? As building our network, go to trade shows, go to events. Well, HubSpot is not doing it anymore. Here's why they aren't doing it anymore. Long story short, it's expensive. It creates their highest cost per lead, and it requires a lot of man hours to do. So what are they going to do instead? They're going to speak at events and specifically create more content, because their blog all by itself brings in 20% of their organic leads. Just the blog brings in 20%. One out of five organic leads comes from their blog. So they have found scalability inside this idea of creating content. Your third option is that you can run profitable advertisement. What are we talking about here? So this report was made by Content Marketing Institute. It talks about the recent trends in content marketing, and we specifically want to get down to the paid advertising section, which is going to tell us that 84% of B2B marketers use paid distribution channels for content marketing purposes. 84% of B2B marketers are using paid advertising to promote their content, the stuff that they make. So we use that data to give us a sense of expectation. So we realize that there are three basic options. Really big companies use these three basic options, and they're able to use those options to scale. So we know that there's a lot of opportunity present, but your company is a lot smaller. And so how are you supposed to leverage or borrow or think about your options when you just don't have unlimited resources? So here's the next way of thinking here. As a smaller company, you've got to focus. You have the same options, but you can choose to focus. So don't just build a network of people, right, and prospect and network haphazardly. Build a network of high-value people. In other words, there should be a really small list of people that you know and that know you, who are familiar with the problem you solve and that trust your company as the premier option to solve it. You can intentionally build this network, but it's a high value network that you work on, cultivate, and grow very specifically. Don't just create content, create relevant content. Sure, you can create 40,000 blog posts. How long will that take you, and how mad will you be when you're done with all of that effort? The greatest return on your energy, on your effort, on your time is creating the most hyper relevant content you can, and make that content as specific as possible. That gives you leverage, gives you scale. So don't just create content, create relevant content. And when you think about advertising, don't just advertise to get your name out there. Don't just advertise because someone else said it was clever. Focus on profitable advertising. What does profitable actually mean? What cost per lead can you afford? What cost per sale or cost per client can you afford? And use that insight to drive what profitable means. So just using these words in the middle here allows you to focus in on where the core value proposition is and use your option to pursue that particular place of value. So a big part of setting our expectations is to be honest that we can't just broadly do these things. We have to focus in and do these things. Now we have to take some assessment of our assets. So what do we currently have that would allow us to do this well? So do you currently have a network? Is that a strong place for you, for your particular business? Is that a strength for your business, currently having a network? Are you comfortable prospecting? Do you already have a referral base? Are these things already in place in your business, right? In regards to creating relevant content, you got three main formats. There's audio, there's video, and there's written. So if you're going to create content, it's going to fit in one of these three brackets. Which of these three is comfortable? Do you want to do this? Do you have the ability to do this? Is this the leverage you'd like to create in your marketplace? And if you choose to run profitable advertisement, well, it's going to require some dollars up front, right? You're going to have to spend some money in order to make some money. That's how advertising works. You also need some sort of lead magnet that will attract clientele and convert them into being a high value prospect. So that might be a trial, that might be a demo, that might be a consult. Which of these do you currently have? How much of this are you prepared to spend? Is this the leverage you want to build in your business? Again, to be clear, none of these are right. None of these are wrong. They're choices. And it's really important that you put yourself in a place of decision maker. Make a choice here. Which of these three things do you want to leverage? And be honest about the assets you currently have that would give you that leverage. Now, the next tier here is you are going to have to build some process, and you're going to have to iterate. So no matter what option you choose, you're going to have to build. Sometimes you hear me use the word infrastructure. There's some infrastructure, some process that you're going to have to put inside your business, and you're going to have to keep iterating until these things begin to show some real leverage. You know, there are a lot of experts of the day that encourage you to get started with networking, get started with content, get started with advertisement, but they don't always give you the horizon on how long it takes to get some real momentum from doing any one of these things. So let me give you an answer right now. It's going to take you 1 year. Assume that you're not going to get any momentum from your network, from your content, or from your advertising for 1 full year. So now with that being said, which one of these three makes the most sense? How prepared are you? How excited are you? Can you picture leverage in any one of these three options? It's going to take you some time to build the appropriate process, to get enough iterations so that you can customize these approaches for your particular situation. Now, wait a minute, Alze. Can't you speed this thing up? Yes, you can, but in context. So yes, can you speed this thing up and get value back in a quarter, or get value in a month, or get value in a week, or even get value in a day? Sure, some of these things you can apply and see results immediately, but that's a function of how many of these assets you already have in place. So if you have experience in the industry already, you already built a high value network already, well then sure, you can tap into that network and see value much more quickly. If you already have content created already, or if you have experience creating content already, then sure, you can create one new content piece and see value in the short term. If you've been running ads for a long time, if you know what that's like and you have some skill there already, then sure, you can run just one ad and see value a lot quicker. But those recommendations or those expectations are only appropriate in response to the assets you bring to the table. Please don't let the expert of the day convince you that you can see value quickly if they haven't appropriately assessed your assets. Now, third category here. So if you've come this far, the next thing to consider is measurement, improvement, and profit. So as you execute your strategy to build your high value network, how are you going to measure incremental improvement? Do you have any clue? Do you have any idea? If the idea is to measure the improvement of your network, then there should be a new person added to your network every day. For example, if you're trying to measure the improvement of your network, then the value, as you define value, that the value of that person should increase every day, right? So you need some level of, or some way of strategy of measuring the size and profitability of the network you're building. If you're measuring content, what are your metrics going to be? Number of content pieces created? Is it going to be amount of traffic created? Number of leads created? You need some level of metrics so that you know what success looks like as you create this content. How are you going to measure profitable advertising? Is it going to be cost per lead? Is it going to be cost per conversation? Is it going to be cost per sale? Is it going to be cost per retainer? How are you going to measure profitable advertising? And with those metrics in place, now we can appreciate constant improvement, because you won't get the best end result up front, right? You're going to get better over time. So as you build your network, you got to consider how you get better at building that network over time. As you think about building your content, how do you create more content, better converting content over time? As you consider measuring your profitable advertising, how are you going to get your first set of leads? How can you get better leads and cheaper leads, more profitable leads over time? Again, neither of these three approaches is better than the other. At some point, you'll begin to create hybrid approaches where you mix all three, but the core leverage in your business is going to come from a commitment to one of these three things. So you need to decide for yourself where to start, and you can only do that when you're honest with yourself about what assets you currently have and how dedicated you are to creating that ultimate profitability.